My name is Christine Clapp. I'm the author of Presenting at Work, A Guide to Public Speaking in Professional Contexts, and I'm the president of Spoken with Authority, a presentation skills consultancy that's dedicated to helping professionals craft and deliver effective speeches. Today I'm going to be answering the question, how long should my speech be? Of course, this is dependent on the situation and the context, so let me give you some guidelines for different types of presentations that you might be giving. The first and probably the shortest type of presentation that you'll give is a personal introduction, which is also sometimes called an elevator speech or an elevator pitch. The shortest version of your elevator speech is only one sentence long, and that can be literally 5 seconds. But if you have a little bit more time, if you're in a conversation, you can go for about 1 minute to 90 seconds for your personal introduction. The goal of a personal introduction is to have a dialogue. Make sure that you keep it short so that you aren't filibustering and you offer an opportunity for the other person to tell you about them. Another kind of presentation that's short that you might find yourself in a situation to give is a toast. Toast often comes at parties and celebrations, and in those events, there's oftentimes lots going on in the background, lots of distractions, and you need to keep it short. At weddings and events, I hear toasts that go on for 5-10 minutes, and that's too long. You want to keep it to 2 to 3 minutes. If you're the host of the event, maybe you can go 4 to 5 minutes, but they should be brief, they should be pithy, and then they should have something poignant or sentimental at the end. And of course, they should have a raise of the glass. Another common type of presentation that you might be expected to give in your professional life is a briefing, a technical presentation, or a pitch to a prospective client. These are presentations that are oftentimes dedicated to giving information on a timeline that is determined by someone else. You might be given 10 minutes to give your pitch, or you might be given an hour to give that presentation. Either way, know that if you are given more than 20 minutes, don't use it. After 18 minutes, research shows that attention wanes. That's why TED Talks are only 18 minutes long. You get to a point of diminishing returns. If you're in the situation of giving a technical talk or a briefing, try to limit it to 18 minutes and then open it up to Q&A or discussion. Another type of presentation you might have an opportunity to give is a commencement address or perhaps a sermon. My recommendation is to try to keep sermons and commencement addresses about 10 to 12 minutes in length. For some religious traditions, the sermons are much longer. The tradition is that they're 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Just make sure that you're familiar with the tradition in which you're speaking and go accordingly. In terms of commencement addresses, you might be given more time than 10 to 12 minutes on the agenda. Make sure that you don't abuse that. Don't use more than 10 to 12 minutes. You want to give something that's insightful, that's thoughtful, that's entertaining, that's funny, but you don't want to drown on. Remember, people listening to commencement addresses are oftentimes in hot auditoriums or they're sitting out in the sun on a day in May or June. And the graduates are wearing polyester robes for Pete's sake, so make sure that you keep it short. And if the conditions are severe, if it's very hot, make sure that you make it shorter. 5 to 6 minutes is absolutely appropriate if the conditions are rainy or super hot. For Keynote Address, most are billed on an agenda for an hour. If you're given 60 minutes, don't plan a 60-minute speech. Plan about 30 to 40 minutes for your Keynote Address. You have to recognize that it'll take 5 minutes for the event to start and for your introduction. Plan for some time for Q&A at the end, and also give your audience a 5-minute window to be done early. People are always grateful when a speaker is done a few minutes early, and they couldn't be more annoyed if a speaker finishes a few minutes late. The last type of presentation that you might be asked to do that's very long is a webinar or a training program. I encourage you to keep webinars no longer than 1 hour. People are online and they have lots of distractions on their computer and in their office or in their home. Within that 1 hour, you want to keep the segments to 18 to 20 minutes. Remember that attention wanes after about 18 minutes. In each segment, have one specific thing that you're training or you're teaching, and then at the end of it, make sure that you have some sort of interactive element. Maybe it's a poll, maybe it's something for your students to do, to practice, maybe it's a video to watch and to analyze and to give feedback on. Whatever it is, make sure that the audience members are doing something active so they can stay engaged with you. And if you are doing an in-person training program, it might go longer than 1 hour. And when you have people in the flesh in front of you, you can go longer than 1 hour. But if you do, you really want to work in breaks. You want to make sure that you have that 18 to 20 minute segmenting where you have interactive activities, but also after about an hour or maybe up to 90 minutes, you definitely need to have a break for people to use the restroom, to check their email, and to regroup with you. I also encourage you to keep your trainings to no more than 3 hours in one day. Half a day is about as much as you can possibly squeeze out of a student. After that time, their energy is sapped and they have other obligations. They have emails, they have meetings, they have deadlines, and it's very hard to keep them engaged for longer than 3 hours. Remember that the length of your presentation really depends on the situation and the context. Also remember the old adage, less is more. If in doubt, always go for shorter than being more long-winded.